All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to stream.
Hello.
Oh, you spoke faster than every other guest usually does. Hello, everyone. Hello, how are we today? Hello. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Joe. Yippee! Hello, everybody. How are we? How are we doing? Just joined the Discord server. Epic. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome into today's stream. Everybody, for those who don't know, for those who didn't read the title, I hope you can read. Today we are roasting your art once again. With me today, we have the lovely Fei.
Hello, everyone.
The one who runs the studio. The
Happy to be here.
The boss that I allude to every once in a while. Fei is here.
It's been a while, and yeah, I'm ready for this roast. We were chatting yesterday, and Jessie's like, "I am angry and spiteful," but I get to be the good one here. I get to be the good cop.
Happy to be here. Fei is happy. Jessie is dying. I'm running on 5 hours of sleep, so we're here. We're alive. We are together. Everybody, let me know if you can hear Fei just fine. Let me know if you need me to balance the audio a little bit better. Do you mind speaking?
And I like the under eye circles you drew.
Yeah.
Cartoon Jessie describes your mood really well.
Angry Jessie, it's gonna be chaotic. Yeah, I'm full of spite right now. I'm full of rage. So here, okay, here just fine. Fantastic. Let me know if you need me to turn anybody down. If you need me to turn anybody up. I need to be louder a little bit. How does this sound? Is this a little bit better? My partner messed with my audio settings when we were streaming on his channel. How does this sound? Is this a little bit better? Louder? Quieter? Yeah? That better? A lot better? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't know how I had my mic before. We had to adjust it when he was here. Hi, Naomi. Am I feeling spicy? Yes, I am. We're spicy today. Perfect. Okay, fantastic. All right then. Before we get going, before we get into what you're all here for today, we know the drill. We all know the drill if you've been here before, because if you didn't know, our growing community is filled with tons of art nerds, and we art nerds have to stick together. So if you're an art nerd too, be sure to check out the links to our social media in the description below, and check out our website for our class offerings, where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are an art school too. So if you'd like to support us so we can keep making free content, consider supporting us by becoming a YouTube member for exclusive channel perks like emotes and sub badges, or supporting us on Patreon for as little as $2 per month, where you can get access to tons of perks like my working files, critique sessions, class recordings, and a huge discount on our classes that have a limited amount of spots, so be sure to check those out before they are gone. Yes, everyone.
Oh, I think you did that in one breath, Jessie. You're good.
I do it all the time. I'm so used to
it's just fast talker on our channel. Jessie, yeah. go.
I did it in 3 breaths, actually, Novus. Breathe? Yeah, we're good here. My rage is filled. My anger is present. Okay. Friends. Before we get going, can I just say, for once, I am actually kind of proud of all of you. This was the least amount of unusable submissions we have gotten to date. Thank you all. There were still a couple of you, and one person just decided to copy-paste the name of the file. Don't know why they thought that would work, but for once, I am slightly proud of all of you. You can celebrate in this small amount of dignity that I'm putting you all under. But that is enough for me being nice to you. We're gonna be starting with the roasts are effective. Least amount of unusable submissions award to everyone. How does it feel? How does it feel, Shield? Maybe they're all using your lovely little diagram this time. The fear that just hit me that maybe possibly it was me that did that, even though I know I put a link in there. Some people put links, but that doesn't mean that you shared the drive link with me so that I couldn't click on it. So that it's like I get a little pop-up that's like, I don't have access to this file. And like, you know, clearly you don't know how to use Google Drive, but whatever. Google's a thing. You're on Google. Anyway. let's get into the actual... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, if you actually submit a portfolio and the links don't work, guess what? You're going to get disqualified, or at least you're going to annoy the judges.
Yeah.
So much so that they probably won't give you a great mark. Or they're rolling their eyes, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah.
100%. Yes. Please learn how to use Google Drive. Thank you. We are no longer living in the 90s. You should know how to use the internet by now. Thank you. All right. Let's get into our first submission. This is by Botler. They use any pronouns. That's B0TLER3 on TikTok. I think they use that handle on other places as well. Botler. I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. I apologize. There's a couple things we can unpack about this one. We're starting off not too bad. By comparison to what we have chosen this time around, we're starting off not the worst. Alright, we're starting off not the worst. First thing, blaring right in our faces, my friends. My friends. Do we not know how hands work? Do we not know where our thumbs go? Do we not know where our thumbs are placed? Because when we put our hand down on something, our thumb is not on the outside of our hand. My friends, if we are putting our fist down on the ground, our thumb is not going to be touching the ground. And certainly not with the rest of our fingers pointing towards the body.
Everyone's looking at their hands right now.
My friends, please. It's not that hard. You have hands. You have hands, I hope. If you don't, I'm sorry. Not discriminatory, but please watch where your hands are going. Please understand where your thumbs go. If you don't understand where they go, you can do the pose yourself. You're a person. You're a person. You know what I'm saying? You're a person. You have different things that you can look at. Let's flip this bad boy over here. The hands are just so glaring. I can always tell when somebody's been a chibi artist for a really long time, but then they're just starting to get out of that bracket and start to draw like just people. And not just chibi, because these hands are magnificently tiny. Let's just compare that size right there. If your fist is that tiny against your face, you got little baby hands. I'm gonna make fun of you. I won't. I'm sorry. But actually, maybe I will. Depends how close we are. Look at our teeny tiny baby hands. Same thing with the feet down here. If you didn't know, your foot should be the same height as the top of your head. Of course, if this is stylized, who cares? But we got itty bitty baby feet down here, right? Bottom of the foot, top of the foot. Really, really tiny over there. Same thing with the forearm. Your foot should be about the same length as your forearm. And these forearms are quite a bit longer than the length of the foot is. And regardless, the arms are kind of small too. Your elbows should kind of reach the top of your head. Again, stylization. But the way that you've proportioned the face by comparison to the rest of the body, if we're looking at the facial proportions, you know, not too terrible. You got a really nice stylized, profile over here. Very glad that you don't just, you know, do this to the nose and then really tiny lips. Like, it's like there's no profile at all. Very strong brow, very strong nose. Very much enjoying this silhouette we've got going on here. So... But the main problem, is that this is very well proportioned, whereas the rest of the body is incredibly chibi-esque. It does not match the proportions that we have drawn to the body, so make sure that we are keeping this stylization in mind when we are working on... Oh, artist in chat! Yo, artist in chat. Didn't used to do chibi?
Welcome.
Yo, I'm wrong. That's crazy. But anyway, get bigger hands. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I don't know if you noticed this, my friend. Your hands are backwards. I'm just gonna wait for the response. I'm just gonna wait for their response. I'm waiting in chat to see when they notice that their hands are backwards. Promise to watch my hands. Fantastic. Thank you. Yes. Watch your hands. Watch your hands a little bit. It is a vow now. My friends, I'm going to teach you something really fun today. I'm going to teach you the principle of proportioning. Proportioning, when we are talking about it, is not necessarily just with bodies. It is with the objects that we are drawing as well. How tidy is this backpack? How tiny is this bedroll? Bro, this ain't gonna do nothing. Right? By comparison to the whole person, this can maybe hold a tiny little sketchbook and maybe a little bag of hand wipes. And it's not gonna be really working for adventuring. We gotta make sure that this is proportioned for the rest of the body. This backpack's gotta be big, my friends. Same thing with a bedroll. You know how big bedrolls are? Huge! Because you know why? It's gotta hold the entire body.
It's one of those magical backpacks.
My bad. Okay, well then there we go. But yeah, if this is a bedroll, if this is a backpack, I suppose it's not a backpack. But yes, same thing, proportioning. Remember, we gotta really think about this kind of proportioning when it comes to drawing objects. This is just a good thing to remember anyway. A lot of people do that with pockets as well. What is this pocket gonna hold here, right? This, fine. Back pocket, works just fine. I am a woman, I have woman's pockets. You can fit so little in those. But this back pocket, perfectly fine. But this little pocket right here, maybe it holds a little, like, radio, but it's not really gonna hold much more than that. Right? Same thing with this little guy down here, maybe a couple coins. Women's pockets, yeah. Pockets are tiny IRL. No, my friend. If you are woman, then the pockets are tiny IRL. Men can hold an entire, like, bottle of water in their front pockets, and I've seen it happen, and it makes me upset. That's why we carry everything in our claws, exactly. But yes, proportioning, very, very important when it comes to an individual. I will say though, very, very happy with your silhouettes on the face. I love the nose shapes. I'm always a big fan of a wider bridge of the nose. Very happy that like I can draw a straight line down and there's a lot poking out through here. That's how you do a face. It doesn't matter like with the shape of this, but if you draw a straight line down here and there's barely anything going past, your face is not proportionate enough. So the fact that you've got this nice strong facial shape here, fantastic. But I would just say, if I was to be like generally like just critiquing, yeah, I would say to work on your proportions a bit, because the stylization of the heads do not match the stylization of the body, and I think that creates a bit of dissonance when it comes to the style itself. I will also say this reflection that is going off of this knife, it may actually look better if it is pure white, because then that gives you a bit more of that reflected light look by comparison to edge light, because I see what you're doing with the edge light. Edge light is fine, but this way it actually feels more like a shing kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Rather than just, oh, this is an edge light and I don't really understand where it's coming from. Because that's kind of what we're dealing with here. Movement's pretty alright. I would say you could add more movement here. Right now, very, very straight line. Top of the back of the foot, you can practically trace that, right? It's just a straight line going on here. You can make this far more active if we push this chest forward, or even if we really hunched the back here. If we really arched this back, right? So this leg is also pushing back like this, then we can really push this foot. This feels like a lunge. They are lunging towards, by comparison to just having this back leg straight. And that way we can actually get the measurements of the legs right. Yeah, these thighs are not measured correctly. Gotta make sure that they're the same size. But this way it feels more like a lunge. They are going actively running towards the second individual. You can even have this foot off the ground, so you get more of that dynamism within the pose. Like the jacket back here, you can make it flowy even more. Like push it, push it, push it, push it. And also this rounded thing doesn't work, so just get rid of that, because that's not gonna happen. But really, really push that movement, because now we've got that kind of S going on here, or even the letter C, right? And it gives us that flowing feeling throughout the entire pose by comparison to just a straight line going down, right? This guy's fine, he's stationary, right? But I might have this arm actually hold out straight like this, because then it really feels like a struggle, and maybe then the fingers are like curling around the shoulder, because that's a hard surface that you can latch onto, like, hey, I'm pushing you away, right? Because just holding very lightly onto this arm, it's like caressing. It's like, I'm bringing you towards me. This way, it's like a fight. Like, hey, what are you doing? I am pushing you away. This cuts off a bit of the face, creates a better silhouette for the torso as well. This arm is fine. This way, we have that stronger feeling of movement. Really think about your movement when it comes to a pose. Like, hey, I am going to be rushing up against this person, so you need more power in that pose. This leg is bending here. This foot is like crazy, like bent against the floor. There's power with this pose. And then the fact that one leg is up, this person is still rushing, right? They are still moving. And this arch of the back, they are rushing in front of this person. They're about to lunge, fall on top of the person, right? And this person, they're like, oh my god, he's crazy, he's nuts. I don't want to deal with this. So one arm down here, one arm pushing them frantically away. This is just like a, oh no, dagger's coming towards me, oh no. This hand is like, yo, back up. No, I didn't think that it's that small. If it's I was thinking like this is a dagger. By proportion to like the face, this is about right? It's not like it's a kitchen knife where it's gonna be like this big, right? It's a dagger. It's a small little thing. So it's like that small makes sense. That's not something that I'm worried about. But yeah, just in general, that pose could be way stronger. Push it. When I say push it, this goes for all of you. Push it and then go more. Do more. Don't even hesitate. Just go crazy. Don't even like sometimes it's better to push it way farther than you think. And then especially with artists who are very reserved, they're like, oh god, this is too much. This is crazy. And then like a professional will look at it and go like, no, this is good. And they're like, really? It's like, yeah, no, this is perfect. Because you're really pushing that movement and you're really, really pushing this all to the edge. Alright, Faye, got anything to say? I went a bit much on this one.
Jessie went on a tear, but I thought you were pretty nice with this first one, actually.
Yeah, no,
I must say.
I'm bad with ones where, I'm bad at being mean to ones where I'm just like, yeah, you're pretty good. It's like, I mean, most of the things are just really technical. It's like, I can't be mean to this one. I still think your feet should be bigger, your legs should be longer, hands should be bigger.
So, Botler, first of all, you're in a really good place. In the submission form, you said you're a middle school student. So yes. I just want to say, like, the quality of work already is for your age is very good.
Age means
and
nothing
so
when it comes to art.
all that aside, okay, I should say experience, but I certainly couldn't draw like this when I was in middle school. I don't think even digital art existed when I was in middle school. I'm old, but anyway. So that aside, like, you obviously have been drawing a lot, so good for you. Okay, so now, if you really want to be roasted, first of all, when I first saw this, I was like, why are the Beatles fighting?
Oh, why are the girls fighting? Is it the name of the file?
No, the Beatles. They look like Beatles. They look like two members of the Beatles. You know,
the Beatles.
The band.
Oh,
the band. Yes, I'm old, but anyway, that's the first thing I thought. But
listen, I got
some comments I had. Oh, you flipped to my screen here.
I did.
Okay, so some comments that I had was, first of all, I like the lighting. The lighting looks like it's kind of like this sunset kind of through the window romantic lighting.
That's real. I get it.
So I don't know if romance was kind of the mood for this, or if it's, something else. But usually in these very tense scenes, the lighting would be, a little bit cooler, or even, if you want to be very dramatic about it, like you do have a lot of contrast in your lighting, but I think the mood is kind of this like nice sunset golden hour lighting. So maybe that's something you can consider changing. The other thing is when you have two characters like this, I know that they are, in the same world, but they are so similar. Like the only thing that, like if these two were in silhouette, the only thing that's different about them is their nose, right? There's one nose that's shaped like a nacho chip and the other nose is more, what is this? What is this shape? It's more rounded.
Pie. It's a pie wedge.
Sure, a piece of pie or a nacho chip, but like that is it. You know, if I put them side by side, they look exactly the same. And I think that there is a lot of room for you to make, you know, these characters different enough so that they are a lot more recognizable. So when I have to tell a story because when my mom is an immigrant, and when she first came to Canada, she watched her first Western, and she said to me, she's like, Faye, I was so lost in the movie because everybody looked the same. They were all, you know, white guys in cowboy hats, and I was like, yes, that's what Westerns are.
Yeah.
But you know, lesson learned. That's why, you know, we do cartooning, because with cartooning, you know, you have the opportunity to exaggerate and make things different. Okay, so the other thing I was gonna say is this guy wearing is he wearing tiny spectacles? Like, I'm gonna zoom in here.
The fashion goggles.
Like,
you got them fashion glasses that old professors wear. It's like, how does this do anything for you? They are tiny. They're little boys.
Are they glasses, or is it like a drip of sweat that I can't tell it is, right? Like this.
Yeah, it's a stylization thing. I do that too, where it's the... I definitely think the lens should be bigger, but the arm, well, actually, first of all, the glasses arm doesn't reach the ear. Second of all, where the glasses arm, you kind of just, like, what do you call it? The arm, like, I erase it a bit when it comes to the eye. Because then the eye can show through. That's a stylistic choice. I do that too. That's why I didn't knock him for it. I'm like, no, okay, I do that too. I get it. But yeah, the ear is small.
Yeah, like, I think there are some things, you know, there's some things that are sort of realistic and other things that are very stylized. But definitely you need to work on your hands, because it doesn't matter how great your drawing is, if your thumbs are backwards or your hands are, you know, not anatomically correct, or just like they look like sausages. You know, like here, they're all the same length. And, you know, it just immediately goes, it immediately triggers, like, amateur, right? That's immediately what I see. If I was evaluating this portfolio, I'd be like, oh, you know, the faces are actually pretty good, like the texture, you know, like I even like these little freckles and things like that. The lighting's pretty good. This person's thought about it. You know, you're using like dramatic chiaroscuro lighting. However...
Sausage. They look like, what do you call it? Filipinos. The dendo syrup. And little sausages that we love to have. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, the canned sausages? Those canned wieners?
No. There's a certain thing. I don't know if it's just my family. They call it dendo syrup. And it's like there's these small little sausages that are just really good. But they are little sausages. And that is the shape of the fingers, I will say.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
And then the feet, like Jessie said, you know, when I teach figure drawing, I usually say to make the feet at least the same length as the forearm, and I'm checking, and they are the same length as the forearm because your forearms are so small as well.
Tiny.
So that actually checks out. So if you're going for a more chibi style where you're doing like a really big head, and a small body, then at least you have something like the forearm that you can measure and make sure that if your feet are the same length as your forearm from the inside, that's another thing that you can sort of gauge proportions with. The other thing is your people don't have butts. Like,
LMAO?
Like, it's
Bros
just
are flat, dog.
Come on,
Dog
we
flat.
want some butts here, like nice, like nice, you know, at least just a little bit. Come on, don't make it inverted. That's just sad.
Took away his cake.
Okay, at least give one person.
I don't have.
Okay,
but I can relate. Yo, me too.
You know,
I am a P-shaped woman. I am shaped like the letter P. I got nothing down there.
But, you know, in this pose, it's a power pose, right? He's got his leg bent. He's flexing those glutes. In this one, he's lying down. So this one, you know, not so big of a deal. But yeah, definitely, if there's no butt, there's no power. Your glutes are the biggest muscle in your body. Maybe not the strongest, but the biggest. And, you know, if it's not flex, then there's no power to that pose. So yeah, make sure that you get that right. Yeah, I think that's all that I have to say in addition to Jessie. But good attempt, and I hope you keep going.
Yeah, man.
With this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, one more thing on my end, because I totally forgot to mention it as well. This pose that I have here, the front of the body is like facing away from us. The front of the body here is facing towards us. This is a twist. We have a twist in the body, and that also adds more interest, more power to the pose that you are doing. So we have the center line over here. The center line is here on this side. So if we kind of twist that around, this helps this, because we have this leg going back and this one going forward. If we have both of these legs going forward, if we have this leg going, if we have the left leg and the left arm going forward and the right leg and the right arm going back, it feels unnatural. So depending on what foot you're leading with, the opposite arm is the one that is going to strike. So if you're leading with your right foot, you're striking with your left arm. And opposite direction too. So if you're leading with your right foot, your left arm is going to strike. Back and forth kind of deal, right? Helps with the pose, helps with the strength, right? Because it's like a wind back kind of thing, especially with this. You're winding back here, so this torso needs to compensate. So if this upper torso is twisting in this direction, the lower torso is twisting in the opposite direction, and that helps with that movement. But okay, thank you for submitting. Thank you for showing your piece. Appreciate it. Keep it up. You are young. You have many ways to go. You will grow out of this. Anyway, next one.
You're already way ahead. Way ahead.
Fei, you may introduce this next one if you would like. You are the one who suggested it.
This,
oh boy.
Yeah, this is my pick, my next pick, or my first pick. Auroklass. Auroklass. Nice. So,
nice. Thumbs up.
Nice, but I'm gonna throw a bunch of stuff at you. So I chose this piece because I feel like, you know, there are, first of all, okay, why did you, like, your signature here, okay, first of all, you have two signatures, okay, and they take up, like, way too much real estate on your canvas, like, way too much. They're right at the top. So I'm not looking at her face, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, why is this here? And let me tell you something, if you look at professional artists, like, they don't sign their artwork like this big on their piece, okay? That's just silly. There's no need. For me, personally, I like to hide my signature. I think it's kind of like a fun thing to do. So, you know, I would maybe sign it there, or if you want to go, you know, classic signature, you can choose the lower right or lower left-hand corner. That's always a safe place to sign your work, okay? But like no huge signature. That screams amateur hour. Okay,
amateur hour, help.
Well, the other thing is, like, your signature is in this bright blue, okay? Which it like really stands out because you have some nice colors, you know, you have this kind of almost nice split complementary color scheme with the yellow and the orange and like the purple, right? Like, that's great. But then you have this, like, you know, Web 2.0 like blue link color.
Bro added an outer glow to his signature, dude. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Like, don't do that, dude. Okay. Okay, so knocks aside. Your character here, I like the expression on her. It's a little bit, you know, she's a little cross-eyed. I think that's something that you could easily fix, though. And like, I think in general, what would make this piece better is you're using these outlines like around her face, around her head. She kind of has if I do this, she looks like Yoda in silhouette. But anyway, these like hard lines, you don't need them because it just makes her look like a cartoon. But then if you look at her hand, which is really, you know, where the magic is, it's actually really nicely done in terms of like giving it like a soft rendered look. I think that the lighting is lacking. Like, I think this can be a lot brighter. Right now, this on her sleeve, whatever that is brighter than your fire. And I don't know if you've actually sat in front of a campfire, but you don't see anything outside of the campfire. Like, everything is really, really dark. So if this was accurate lighting, right, this, I would not even, make it that bright. I would forget about that. Maybe you can have a little bit of a glow here if you want to, but really the focus and the emphasis should be on her face and on her hand. And yeah, like the fire, it kind of looks like she's holding some dull dust powder. It doesn't look like she's holding fire.
I love cotton candy.
Yeah.
I love eating pixie sticks, my guy.
Yeah, like, right? It needs to go a lot brighter, like a lot brighter. So I don't know if I can do this quickly, but like you can turn up that saturation, right? Oof. Turn that up. Yeah, there you go. Now it at least looks like a Dorito chip on fire. But whatever happened to that purple looks cool, but you can easily, what I did was I just selected it and I turned up that saturation, right? So yeah, definitely watch the video that we just released on how to draw fire. Iggy goes over 2 techniques that are very, very simple, so you can level up your fire game right after this stream. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to point out is this character here, like, the chest is just, like, okay, is that if that's her chest and not her shoulder, it's growing, like, right under her neck. This is, it's a little, is it her shoulder?
No, because it is her chest. I think what it's supposed to be is a lower angle. Like, we're supposed to be seeing her from underneath.
Ah, okay.
So Gritty's got the, like, bahonkadonkers, but, like, that's, like, the only thing that we're kind of seeing here. Or she's got boobs attached to her collarbone, in which then, yikers. But, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I am a horizontally gifted woman. Again, I am P-shaped. I am the letter P, right? They ain't happening up there. that's not what's going on.
Yeah, so the larger you are up there, the lower they tend to sit on your body. Yeah, unless you have, the magic of Wonder Bra. But regardless, if you're looking up at her, like, think about your POV. Your POV is messed up here, okay? Because we're looking at the bottom of her hand. We're looking at the bottom of her chest. But we don't see the bottom of her chin. Like, if this was actually, if maybe she's looking down, but it's still, even if she was looking down, it, like, this needs some work. So if this is her head here, usually we would see sort of like the bottom of her chin, right? We'd see the bottom of her chin, at least somewhat, even if she is looking down, because this view is just so exaggerated. So let's say this is her rib cage right here, right? Bitty, bitty. And if we're looking up, right, even if this is distorted, like, you would kind of need to draw the chest, to be a little bit more realistic down here, right? I appreciate, the bigger, like, rounded hips that you're giving her. Maybe it's more supposed to be, like, foreshortened, but you need references, because, yeah, if it looks weird, then you need to fix it with references. There's no shame in using references. Every great artist uses references, unless you draw 24 hours a day, then, there will still be times where you'll need to look it up. So just to continue this, the reason why I got her chest confused with her shoulders is because the way I generally draw shoulders on top of the rib cage is I draw kind of 2 circles like this, right? And then you can kind of figure out where her shoulders are, what they're doing.
Yeah, man.
This hand is coming forward, and, I really like the exaggeration of your hands. And you know, how large they are. But yeah, Jessie, do you have any suggestions for Auroklass?
All right,
here we go.
All right, gritty pops. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. What do I say first? Let's do my favorite thing. Flip the canvas. Boy, oh boy. What are we doing with the ears up here, my G? Remember, our ear will be top of the eye, bottom of the nose, but if we're supposed to have this girly looking upwards, alright, if we have this individual and they're supposed to be looking upwards, got the cranium shape right here, the chin upwards like this, just because of the way that the face is probably going to be angled. We're probably looking more like that. Eyes would be right here. Kind of curved. Maybe not that high. But curved. Upwards like that. Right, bottom of the nose is what we would see. You know what I'm saying? Right? And then the mouth would be turned upwards as well. The ear would not go here. You know? Because the face is curved now, the ear would go down here. We want to make that bad boy just a little bit bigger, right? I could see what you were trying to do, right? The attachment is all the way up here, though, at the top of the nose. The attachment should be at the bottom, all right? And then the tip of the ear up here. And what's going on back here with the back of the hair, right? You have none of the back of the hair here. You're not showing it off. So you're missing that bad boy, too. No sideburns here. So that cutoff for hair growth is wrong. This is also strange, right? Because your cutoff for your face is incorrect, too. I'm also just saying, stylistically, generally, for some reason you have drawn the lips here, and then you've also drawn another bottom of the lip. Don't know why that's going on, but that's what we're dealing with here. Yeah, I mean, Fei said a lot with the angle. I was going to say a lot more with the angle, but I mean, Fei went over it pretty well. Mostly just the angle of the face, I suppose. Use a lot of references. I'm just going to say it right now. With looking at the rest of your work, you are not at the skill level where I think that you can do a different angle. You handed in 3 things. We chose one of them. And looking at the rest of your work, you are not at the angle. You are not at the level yet where you can do this. I'm just saying. So I think that you should practice getting proper proportions right first and actually getting that in there, because if you jump the gun a little bit, you're going to be doing worse to yourself than you are better. So this also kind of feels
figure drawing, my friend.
Figure drawing.
Yeah. Figure drawing.
It also kind of feel like you're missing like parts of the body as well. So if we have a person here, if you wanted the underside of the chest, if you wanted that kind of chest look, we got them both here. We can kind of see the underside that way. More rounded hips, right? If you wanted that dramatic, not totally from the top, not totally from the bottom, this needs to be way longer of a torso. Your hips are actually down here. If you kind of just wanted that slight upwards angle, but again, a slight upwards angle is way more complicated than an extreme upwards angle, right? You are not at that level yet. Just gonna tell you right now, right? There's so much I could say about your facial proportions. There's so much I could say about the way you drew the nose and the eyes and the way that the eyebrows look like pencil lines. But there's just the fact that, like, I appreciate you attempting to do this. You're not there yet. Like, that's just how it is, right? So get a little bit better. Go back to your basics. Learn how the shape of the nose works, right? Because with the bridge of your nose.
I forgot to talk about that. Yeah.
There's non-existent nostrils, right? Your eyes do not come in diamonds, my friends. You have a proper shape that they generally should be, even if you have them stylized, you know? There's different ways that we can approach this. Lips. I don't know what this is, but, you know, understand where these things go, right? Understand how to draw them a bit better. Get used to that first, and then come back to me. Okay. Next one.
Now, so Jessie, just a couple of things. I really like your draw over. Actually, it makes
Thank
her
you.
look a little prettier. The other thing I wanted to talk about quickly, being a portrait artist, I can't look at these eyebrows. Like eyebrows,
Oish.
it looks. She kind of looks like me in my
Hannah.
middle school photo when I first started plucking my eyebrows. And I look back at it and I'm just like, why did I do that?
I'm looking at the 90s, bro. I am looking at the 90s.
It's just
I wasn't even alive
brutal.
then.
Brutal. So, what I would definitely suggest you do is change the eyebrows so that, generally speaking, it peaks at the 2/3 ratio, right? So 2/3 here and then 1/3 here. Right now, like, you have these kind of clown eyebrows like this, very popular maybe in the 1920s, but just even now, if you look at them, sometimes they look very horrific or clown-like. So yeah, just a easy tip that can really help you with a lot of things. And then for the nose, you can always think of like a plane, right? You can just think of this as being the bottom, and then, that would probably be orange from the glow. And you can even put some of this bright orange in the eyes, in the nose, and the side of her face, and that lighting will help you study the proper planes of the face, and it'll really help you make your characters more realistic. But I want to point out something else, is that I see a lot of drawings where the mouth, like this part between the nose and the mouth is like really long.
Yeah.
I guess it can be a style thing, but if you actually look at the average person, like the distance between here and here, the line of the mouth is usually, like, generally speaking, higher than halfway, like the opening of the mouth, right? So realistically, that would make it look better than the mouth being too low. It kind of gives it this sort of comical look that I see a lot in beginner artists. And then also, what is this? Like, I don't know what that is. I think that it's puzzling, perplexing. Is it a hair clip? Are they horns?
Evangelion moment.
Okay. Yeah, so
No.
I'm confused, and you don't want to confuse the viewer. So that's it. Mic drop.
Alright.
I'm done.
Alright, fantastic. Alright then, Auroklass, thank you for submitting. Come back to me when you're better. Anyway. This next one.
Good luck.
This next one we are going to be talking about. I chose this one. Yes. I think the main thing, this is by Ender. He, oh, I forgot to say as well, this one is by, it was on DeviantArt, Classic Arts with a K, capital K, capital A, Classic Arts on DeviantArt. But yes, this one is by Ender. He submitted this one. I mainly picked this one because he was like, this is for an illustration portfolio, and I was like, are you sure? You sure this is the peak of your work? Are you sure? So, oh my god, there's a lot we can go over here, right? I'm just saying, I don't even need to flip it. There's really no anatomy here. Your technique is a lot. Your technique's a lot to unpack. There's just so much here. First of all, you're using the hard round. I can see it. It's opacity by pressure controlled. And you heard the word hatching once and you were like, this is it, bro, but you don't really understand how hatching works. It kind of feels like there's chicken scratch. There's no, like, I see these lumps that are going on here. I know that they're not just lumps on the character. I know you're trying to attempt clothing folds. That's not how that works. You don't just add a bunch of random lines. You're like, this is it, man. I got the clothing folds down. Like, no. Again, references. Really look at clothing folds, right? I understand the kind of messy look you're kind of go for here, but it's not working because this doesn't feel intentionally messy. This just feels messy. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm looking at a polished piece of work. It looks like you kind of just went like this over and over, and you were like, yeah, man, this is it. This is what we call feathering. Feathering we never want to do, whether we're sketching or we're writing, doing line work, right? This feathering, because it looks like the edge of a feather. If you want messy, I like messy line work. I love doing messy line work. Your messy line work, you can do it a lot of different ways. Rather than feathering, which looks very, very amateurish, what I really like to do is I don't erase some of my edges, and I double up my lines on purpose, right? And this kind of gives that sort of sketched look that feels like purposefully unpolished. This chin sucks. But it gives it this kind of purposefully unpolished look to it, right? You gotta make sure that you have that technique down, because clearly you don't really understand what it is that you're going for here, because everything just looks like chicken scratch. You're also only using the hard round. I am biased towards not liking the hard round. I think the hard round is ugly, and you shouldn't use it. I'm kidding. You can use whatever you want, except...
Dang, I only use default brushes, Jessie.
I don't know, I've become, ever since I stopped... Oi, goodness gracious. Ever since I stopped using hard rounds, I have become just so, like... Sorry, that was a spoiler. Ever since I stopped using hard rounds, I've become so, like... What do you call it? Snobby about brushes. But it's also, like, the more that you learn how to use different brushes, the better your work will be, I promise. If you wanted this scratchy look, but you wanted it to be clean... Use something that is textured. Do not use something that is as smooth as a hard round brush, so that you can really get this kind of scratchy, intentionally scratchy, edgy look without it looking super messy, right? This is intentional. It is clean, but it feels scratchy, right? You're leaving a couple spaces here, but it doesn't, you can't tell. You're not doing that all the time. You're still using straight lines. You're keeping some things intentionally messy, but this way it doesn't feel so uniform. You are working in a way where it still feels a bit cleaner, right? Look at the difference. Look at the difference between these two, right? It's not clean in the slightest. This is messy still. It is still incredibly messy. However, the technique is behind it. There is form, there's structure. You are not just scribbling, you are illustrating, you are drawing, right? Creating something that is edgy, something that is stronger and messier looking is not just scribbling. Because if you think that it is just scribbling, you are not drawing a technique, you are lazy. So when we are illustrating something that is messy, intentionally so, you still need to be clean in the technique that you are using to work. Let me redraw this shoulder for you. If we are drawing this arm, this entire arm, oopsies. If I'm going to draw this entire arm for you, let's say that this shoulder right here, the same pose, right? I'm going to stick with my rough brush, right? You notice how my lines are going. They are quick, they are fast moving, they're disconnected. Right? Not the cleanest, but there is technique. There is strength behind the forms that I am using. There is assurance. There is confidence behind these lines. Right? Because it is clear that I understand where everything is going to go next. There's still mess to it. There is still looseness. It is ragged. It is, like, wretched. It feels, you know, etched. But it is intentional. All of it is intentional, and you can tell just based on the line quality and the form quality. Right? Because I'm still intentionally placing these things down by comparison to just chicken scratching the entire arm. Look at the difference between these two form techniques. Right? Because this one doesn't feel as confident. This one feels confident, but still messy. You could even, if you really wanted to keep this hatching up, hatching is not just, I'm going to add lines and that's a done deal. Hatching looks best when it matches the form that you are attempting to show off. There is clothing folds here. So we can add some lines that are curved to match the form of the arm that we are looking at. Same thing on the inside here. We can curve it a little bit so it feels like the inside of the arm, the inside of the sleeve here is still curving. Look at that. Messy, but intentional, strong. We need to understand the look that we are attempting to replicate if we are to give off an intentional look, right? So we want that strength in our style along with the concept. A concept means nothing if you can't execute it. Another thing as well, let's get rid of this for a second. Your composition's all over the place. All right, we've got this person here. We got this person here on one of the rule of thirds, but our little sphere here. Actually, hang on. Let me just do this because Photoshop's crop does that. We've got our person kind of on these two, but our sphere sort of lands in the center here, right? The person is on some of the rule of thirds. This sphere is not, and that sphere is probably what we're trying to look at. This is the thing that is going to be our main focal point. So let me just do you a little favor. If I do this and crop it like this, instantly a little bit better. You could even go for something a bit crazier and really extend that or knock it closer so it's like that, and that's a little bit closer in there. All right, you could even do that, right? Really make sure that you are keeping this composition in mind. Our composition's a little weak here, my friend, because this is just directly in the center of the page, and there's all this negative space that means absolutely nothing, right? So really want to pay attention to that composition along with our lines, because currently it looks like my 5-year-old cousin drew this, and I think you can do a lot better. Considering I assume this is supposed to be like a void here, and you didn't even color it in all the way. Like, what are we dealing with here, right? So, come on. We can do better. We can do better. Especially if this is for your illustration portfolio, and this is what people are looking at, you can do better. Fei? Okay. We've got about 8 minutes until we should probably...
8 minutes, alright. So, okay, so both Jessie and I made illustration portfolios.
Yeah.
Jessie, I love the spooky arm you drew, by the way.
Thank you.
So, first of all, when I saw this, I don't think it's portfolio worthy. Sometimes we have pieces that we are personally like, oh, I love this piece, I love this piece. And usually that's connected to an experience that we had, or, you know, we always have a favorite. And let me tell you a story. When it's about when somebody roasted me in the middle of a university communications design class, and my teacher made me cry. Like, he literally, I presented 3 concepts, and I was like, here's composition A, here's composition B, here's composition C, and I like composition A because blah, blah, blah. And what my teacher did was he took composition A off the wall and actually ate it. Like, he ate my paper with
no,
like pencil on it. Like,
That's
he
crazy.
ate it, and then he just like chewed it and spit it on the ground and said, there you go. You can't play favorites when you are presenting artwork, because the client is going to choose your least favorite, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's your fault. So anyway, yes, back in the day, teachers were allowed to do that. I think now
No.
it's not as...
All my teachers were so nice. Maybe a little too nice.
Yeah, but you know what? I remembered that point. Like, he really, really was an expert at making things memorable. So, first of all, don't include favorite pieces just because you like them, because they may not necessarily be good. So when I saw this, I was like, is Olaf playing death? Like,
Lol.
the hands look like snowman, stick hands. They're not threatening. Like, look at these arms. Like, this, like, I could wrestle this death figure. Like, I'm not afraid of him. He's not scary at all. He's got like stick arms. I could easily karate chop both of them off in one swoop. Like, not threatening at all.
I will say I know what he's going for. I will say I know what he's going for. It's better not to include something muscular if you are going for something creepy, because there's something creepier about emaciated bodies by comparison to a muscular one. So I get
Okay.
it. If you're going with
That's
death,
a fair point.
yeah, if you're going with death, like, I also wouldn't do a muscular arm. I'm like, I feel like that would kind of kill it. It would feel like those, like, chat knows. Like, I got a little too silly werewolves, you know what I'm saying? It would kind of feel like those. Like, you would see it in, like a Minnesota gift shop, and you'd see it in the mountains or something, I don't know. But I get it.
Okay.
It's like the...
Okay.
I understand what he's going for that. I'll defend you once. That's it.
But even Jessie, if you pull up your drawing of your arm, let's just look at it for a second here. So you can have stick arms, right? But your stick arms have to have some kind of basic anatomy so that they actually work and it doesn't look like a twig that's going to snap off. So first of all, even though your arms are skinny, right? They like it has a little bit of a forearm muscle, a little bit of an elbow. There is a tapered effect, right? It's wider where it attaches to the body, you know, and it's thinner in some areas. There's a lot of variety. I don't really want to fight that hand. Like, I don't want to fight Jessie's hand, but the one at the top, like, I'm not threatened at all. Yeah, so
it's emaciation versus nothing. Right, it's like emaciation. You still see that bone structure going on, but nothing.
Ender, are you in the chat? Is Ender here?
Artist in chat.
Okay, so Jessie, I did want to bring up kind of like a checklist that you can try. You'll see I've gone all academic on you guys here and pulled up the elements of art and principles of design. So if you're ever not sure what your piece needs, it's lacking somehow, and you're not quite sure why, go back to this list. Please memorize this, okay? If you really want to be like a true art nerd, you gotta memorize this. It's not really that hard to do. You know, ooh, Krita's text is terrible.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Oh,
it's
terrible.
Bad. That text tool's a lot.
Okay. So the elements of art, there are 7 of them, right? There's only 7. The principles of design, there's not many. There's like 8. Some of them, you know, you can, like rhythm and repetition, harmony, unity, you can kind of group them as one. We have videos on all of these. Each one, Jessie, you know, explains them really, really well. Go watch them, memorize them. This will make you a way better artist and designer. But first of all, let's go down this list here and see what you can improve on. We've already talked about lines. Go watch the line art video. We have 2 on our channel. It will really help you improve your line work. Right now, there's no variety in your lines. It's all scratchy. Everything is scratchy. It's okay to have a little bit of scratchiness because, hey, texture, right? But it's not good to have, if you have texture everywhere, then it's not really texture.
Yep.
Right?
Detail. If there's too much detail, there's no detail at all.
Yeah. So space, you do have a lot of space. However, there's just so much you could do. Like, you could have a spooky shadow. You could have, you know, more dramatic lighting. You know, you could go even darker to make this part feel brighter. So color, you know, you don't really need to think about it for this one since it's monochromatic. That's fine. Again, you don't have to consider everything. Like, you're not going to be able to achieve everything on the list in every single painting, but it's definitely a good checklist to, you know, just look at when you're stuck or when you're kind of not sure how to improve your piece. In terms of shapes, like, your shapes are okay. Like, your silhouette, it's okay. There are some things that you could probably improve on. So, for example, this part, like, this is a sleeve, but to me, this looks like one shape. Like, there's not enough contrast. Or it kind of looks like, yeah, I don't know, but at first glance, there's not enough contrast in this shape for it to really work. And then in terms of, like, your other shapes, for example, your positive and negative shapes are all kind of similar, so it's not as interesting as it could be. So shape, I would say shape is generally more important than form. But in terms of form, you kind of want to think about your lighting. Like, for example, I don't know why it's so dark here. like it kind of all blends in. This should be the darkest, and then this should have enough contrast so that you can actually see what's going on. This part is very flat, like it looks like it's kind of a flat cutout piece. Again, it's because you're using a heavy line all around your piece. Like you don't even need line to achieve to achieve a line. You just have to put two values up against each other and you have a line without actually drawing a line. So other things to consider, like your value, you have a decent you actually have a decent value range here with your lightest lights and your darkest darks. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully that was helpful, but keep going and yeah, use better brushes. I do have to say though, Jessie, as a traditional artist, like I don't use very many brushes. I try to do a lot with one brush, but you really can't do that digitally very easily. So
no, it's tough with digital, because with digital you have so many options, and it's because like I am a digital artist. I am primarily digital, right? But you want to bring some of that non-digital look into your digital work so that it gives you that visual interest better. So you really gotta play around with that and get better with that. Because sometimes you gotta not be digital to be the best digital artist. The more art you know, the better you get. Here's actually with the last little point here, just for this one. As we're a little over time. Furrier, you were saying like it's like the arm and the back kind of blends in with the face. Dude, that's so much creepier. If you blend this back in, there's one arm on the bottom, second arm up here, and it's the face. Dude, that's such a cool that's way cooler. That's way more fun, right? If you got one arm coming from the face by comparison to the hand, right? That's so much cooler, right? So much more interesting than just a Grim Reaper, right? Because then you have a more interesting concept. Yeah, hand in the face, not the most like original concept, but it's definitely more original than just a Grim Reaper, right? So this way cooler. Get rid of this. Who needs this? Boo. Bye. Get rid of it. Because then now this is way more ominous too. And then
it's
you have
furry
this
Grim Reaper.
for fuzzy Grim Reaper. But then you have like this kind of fun little almost lamp holder, and now you've isolated this. Brighten it up more. Boom. That's a much better focal point. Because now you've kind of isolated it, the negative space surrounds it, and now there's nothing down here distracting it either. This is way cooler than before, right? Because now this figure is so ominous. He's so weird. What am I looking at? That's what you want with horror. What the heck am I looking at? Makes it a lot better. Trust me. Alright. This next one, Fei, was your choice. So, if you would like to introduce it.
Sure.
Hi, Marcy!
Okay, yeah. Hi, Marcy! Thanks for joining us. Marcy's one of our editors.
Everybody say thank you, Marcy.
You could make it. Yeah, thank you for
everybody
all
say
the
thank you, Marcy. Everybody, right now. Everybody say thank you, Marcy, right now. Be nice to her. I'll end you if you don't. I'm just saying. I'll find you. Everybody say thank you, Marcy. Yes. Marcy with an I. Yes. Everybody say thank you, Marcy. Good. Good.
All right. So this next one is by Bopper. Bopper bopping on Bopper _bopping _ IG. Sorry, the underscore is that's her Instagram account. Yeah. Well, you can see that she has put all of her contacts here. So I'm like reading the file when I'm like, oh, well, it has a lot more contrast than the piece itself. So this is like with the signature, like if you're going to put a watermark or your social media stuff or, your signature on your piece, please don't let it overpower the piece itself. Like the piece itself here, you actually, did it right with the lineup and the gray background and everything like this. But then, putting your socials, you can be a little bit more understated with this, maybe not do it in color if everything else is in black and white. Anyway, those are things they're just like little things that I see that I'm like, okay, don't do that. So, Bopper, you created a lineup of figures, and let me just consult what you actually said here in your submission, because you said that you're working on a animation portfolio, and you're trying to build a cast of 2D animated characters to use for musical animatics. Yes, they definitely look musical. They will each be from a different world, similar to the Spider-Verse series. And yeah, so you're exploring character design. Wonderful. So much fun. When I took a look at this, I thought, wow, this is actually really fun. You know, there's so much that you could do to improve it, but it's actually fun. Like, I think that looking at this, I'd be like, oh, you know, I would want to meet that person. And I think that's really, really good in a portfolio. If you look at a portfolio and, you know, you can tell that the person either has a good sense of humor, they're silly, you know, those are good things. If you look at a portfolio and it's boring and you don't remember it, then, or you don't even want to meet that person, then, you know, you're not as memorable. So generally speaking, I think this is fun. It's got a lot of potential. But I think that in terms of your character design, first of all, some very simple things you can do design-wise. Whenever you have a lineup of people, or whenever you have, you know, certain characters and they're all on one sheet, you can compose them a little bit better. And what I mean by that is, you know, you have this character, he's kind of looking away. This character's kind of looking away. This is the only interaction here. Like, these two people are having a good time, they're having a conversation, and these guys are like checked out. This guy's like, oh, I'm off to fix something. I think that's a screwdriver. And this person's like, I'm bored, but I'm giving my book a thumbs up. Like, I'm trying to find a story in here. I'm trying to relate the characters somehow because they appear on the same page, but this takes my attention away. Like, even when you're doing something like a YouTube thumbnail, right? If I have Jessie here, she better be looking at the text. If she's looking away from the text, that just takes your eye right off that thumbnail, right? So this applies to everything: illustration, design. My eye goes here, because these two characters are actually interacting. So I think you can work a lot more on your anatomy. I know you're trying to exaggerate, you know, your characters, and trying to incorporate shape language and all that good stuff. But I think that you can work a lot more on, I'm gonna say this again, I'm so sorry, your figure drawings, your anatomy. Oh my god, please. You know, there are some really simple things that you can see, you can spot immediately if you learned figure drawing more seriously. So for example, I can point out some things. This leg here and this leg here, like, the knees would typically, if you draw a curve from one knee, you know, you will find where that other knee should be. They align, right? That's a very, very simple thing. So even if you're drawing stick people, make sure that the elbows and the knees align. I know you're kind of going for like a foreshortened look with this brick foot and this brick foot, but this brick foot looks like it's in a it looks like he's wearing a cast here, because even the form here is not the same. Like, this looks like a brick, this looks like, you know, more like a foot. So even though you are foreshortening, you need to do it better. Like here, this foot, you actually have that cylinder where the ankle is going in, like, great, right? Very basic. Here, you have this flat line. Like, either make it go this way, or to follow your perspective, make it go this way. Right? Because right now I can see the top of this foot, which means I should be able to see the top of the boot. If I can see the top here, I should be able to see the top there. If I see the bottom of the foot, I shouldn't be able to see the bottom of that cylinder, right? So work on your cylinders, work on your proportions, and your pieces will get so much better. Even though you're going for a stylized look, like this neck,
I didn't even see that. That's crazy.
That needs help. That needs help. First of all, I see a face. I see a face here.
Oh, LOL. Yo, that's crazy. I didn't even see that. That's so funny.
Okay, so necks 101, they don't connect at the bottom. Okay, so if this is your head, your neck doesn't fit right in the bottom. There is a curve to the neck, right? The neck curves this way, and it's attached really to the back of the head. Okay, so it doesn't insert itself right in the middle. So this, the neck would insert like this. There is a rhythm in your body, so very quickly, you know, there should be like opposing rhythms in your body. So if the head is going this way, right? The head's going this way, then the rib cage would go this way, and then the hips would go this way. There's a bit of this kind of opposing rhythm that's totally missing. If these are musical characters, yeah, opposing rhythm, right? Rhythm, principle of design, and
artist in chat. I'm so sorry. Artist in chat.
Hey,
point at
welcome,
them.
Bopper.
Artist in chat. Point at
you
them.
got wrecked already.
Point and smile. Artist in chat.
Nice. So, Bopper, I don't know if you just joined, but I'm right in the middle of, roasting this one character. Where was I with? Okay, so I was talking about rhythm. You have a really good opportunity to explore rhythm in this character lineup, especially if they're for a musical ensemble or like they're musically related, right? Rhythm is super, super important. I think your skeleton has a lot of rhythm. Like I can already hear a song like with the bones and, you know, all of that. I think this character is really fun. Although I do think that all your bones, like this bone here, can be a lot thicker. You can put a lot more variety, whereas the finger bones should be finger-sized, right? But like your femur and your leg bones should be significantly thicker than your fingers, right? So some of that variety in shape will really help you. So try to think about variety and rhythm. This guy here, okay, so his rib cage is really bothering me. It looks like he injured his rib cage. I recently injured my rib cage, so when I look at this, I'm like, ouch.
You didn't say what? When did you injure your rib cage?
It's not bad. So I was putting the baby to bed, and I basically went over the crib, flipped over the crib, and like bruised my rib, and I haven't been able to do any sports for like 3 weeks, and it really sucks. But yeah. So you can have a lot of fun with shapes, but they still have to reference your anatomy. Okay, so first of all, with this guy, like your arms need to be the same length if they are in the same, like unless it's foreshortened. This is definitely not foreshortened because he's kind of standing off to the side there, right? So the rib cage, if you look at where you've drawn the ribs, right? If you're gonna go and do the anatomy thing, right? If these are the ribs, then that tells me that your rib cage is like there. Okay, you can make it whatever shape you want, but this angle needs to be like here, right? Because that's like the opening of your rib cage, and you can see these ribs here, right? So the fact that you placed your triangle here just makes it look really weird. So you can consider moving that down a little bit so it actually follows the proper anatomy. Belly button as well, like your belly button is really high. It should be between the rib cage and your hips. So if your hips are here and your rib cage is here, your belly button should be in the middle. So he's getting stabbed in the belly button right now.
Are those lines gills? I think this is like a water creature.
Are they gills? I don't.
Are they gills? I read them as gills. I didn't see them as like, because of like how simple the style is. I didn't think that they would have added the. I don't think she would have added the. Oh god, the serratus anterior. Yep, I was right. Yep. So there's.
Oh, they are gills.
Yeah. So I wouldn't.
Gills.
I wouldn't think that they were the serratus. I was looking at it. I'm like, this is a fishy character. I'm like, considering how simple the rest of the characters are, I'm like, I don't think the serratus or the ribs would have been drawn. So I'm like, kind of fishy character. You've got the same hip to torso separation as like Ariel does. I'm like, okay, this is definitely like a water kind of character, right? But yeah, gills, side of the neck. You're better off doing that.
Gills? Yeah, are they typically on the abdomen?
No. So they look like they're on the abdomen on other like fish and stuff, but that's just because their entire body is abdomen. So where their gills are would be in relation to where our neck was.
Gotcha. Okay, and neck placement very quickly.
Yes. Typically,
okay.
Yeah.
They connect at the back of the head, not right in the middle of the head. Bobbleheads connect right in the middle of the head. But real heads connect at the end. Just very simply, make sure your arms are the same length. Like this is easy, right? You can easily do that. This character here, I think is interesting. Like I like your use of curved lines and straight lines, but also like your arms are different lengths. Like I can see similarities between all of your characters, which really leads me to believe that you just need to work on your figure drawing. I'm gonna like say that for everybody. Work on your figure drawing, because it, with certain landmarks, you are going to just get better at making your characters, even though they're stylized, based on proper anatomy. And like this leg is really funky, but Jessie, I'm gonna let you do that leg. Because I think, yeah, I think I'm done here.
All right, you're getting a little winded. You're getting a little winded. All right, let me take over then. Boy, oh boy. So, character design so happens to be my wheelhouse. So, Fei, everything that Fei said, correct. Yeah, learn your figure drawing, learn everything else. I'm gonna give you a couple of character design and lineup things. Let me just flip this upside down. We're looking at this character right here. I see floating skeleton boy. Great. I see there's some pieces missing. Femur. Fine. You've got your femur going on here, right? Maybe there's some bones missing. Great. There's 2 bones here. This is a 2-bone thing. This is your tibia and your fibula over in the arms as well. You have your radius and your ulna. You will have 2 bones here. You kind of got your phalanges going on. You got part of the sternum. You got part of the jugular notch, right? You're missing... Well, your pelvis is fine. I think you should have some of your spine showing as well. I think that you're just missing a few bones to the point... You're missing enough bones to the point where I can tell you don't know how bones work. So I think it would be better if you kind of got a better understanding. You're missing a lot of your tarsals down here. You're missing the... Oh my god, I forget what this is called. But there's a bone back here that creates your ankle. So I think that a better thing for you would be to understand where those bones are. Even if you have some missing, it's always obvious to tell when you don't know what you're doing. Especially within a character design. If they're supposed to be funky, if they're supposed to be stylized, you gotta make sure that you still can show off, yeah, I know where this is going. I know where this anatomy is. Like, especially because Fei got confused that these are gills. I could tell these are gills only because you kind of got this pointy-eared character. They have this kind of separation here, similar to Ariel's separation with her tail, right? You kind of got a Medusa thing going on. So I'm like, this has to be gills, right? Because I'm like, based on how simple all these designs are, there's no way that you would, based on that, and then plus the way that you didn't really know how these bones worked, I assumed these were not the serratus anterior. I also assumed that these were not ribcage bones, or else they would be going in this direction. Right? So there's that kind of thought process that you go down here. Knowing your anatomy, incredibly important when it comes to character design, even if it is stylized. Understanding that the gills are placed along where the neck is because it is attached to where which is the breathing one? Is it the esophagus or the other one? Oh my god, I can't remember names. But it's attached to one of those those tubes that go down to either your stomach or your lungs, right? Because that is where your oxygen will be coming in through. We have our mouth that is attached to there. The fishy things have gills that attach directly to that pipe, right, in our body. Doesn't make any sense here because there is nothing that is bringing that air into our lungs. Or trachea, thank you. But I think that, yeah, it's the trachea, that's the wind one, right? Yeah, one of those. But you gotta make sure that you're understanding that. Same deal here. I can tell you don't know how arm muscles work. Your deltoid is not connecting to your bicep nor your triceps correctly, right? Because you're not really adding that in there. And then you also don't really have your forearm muscles over here either, right? It's not quite working in that direction either. And if you wanted somebody more muscular here, you're gonna want to muscle up this body portion as well. Really get that upside down triangle form in there, right? Same with the legs. You have your patella just kind of pointing out here without really understanding how your patella would work. Same thing with this. This is up on the thigh. Your patella would be down here, right? So I know you're trying to simplify these forms, you're trying to simplify everything, but you can simplify way easier if you know what you're doing, right? So thigh, right? Understanding where your quads are, understanding where your patella goes. Look at how easy and simple it is to draw that leg. And it's correct, right? So I would say you're trying to simplify, you're jumping the gun. Same thing as before. You're jumping the gun. Understand what you're doing first, and then come back to me. So understand Fei pointed out the principles and stuff like that. You're gonna have to become a scientist for me for a little bit. You're gonna have to go back, learn the names of things, learn where they're placed. You have the skill, your lines are starting up there. Your line organization is a little bit lacking, but that's fine, right? That's something that you gain with time. But you're gonna have to become a scientist for me and start to learn the names of all of these things. If I told you to show me where the acromion process was, I don't think you could. So let me know when you get there. But understanding all these different forms, understanding the anatomy, understanding what is underneath the skin is key to being able to draw what's on top of it, right? Same thing here, right? If you knew how the arm worked, you would know that this arm, try bending that back for me. Keep your thumb straight up in the air, your wrist directly in line with your forearm, and point that backwards. Try and stretch that for me. Doesn't work, does it? Because if she's pointing her body here, the center of her body is right here, right? You have your rib cage right here. This arm is bending backwards, considering we can see the entire full forearm here. Try and do that pose for me. Not working, is it? Unfortunately, this pose requires foreshortening, and your thumb would probably be better if it was pointing like this, and then your fingers are pointing forwards like that, right? Because then you're keeping kind of the body still in line. Hurts a little bit. If you don't know the pose, do it yourself, right?
Yes,
stand
in front of a mirror.
Stand in front of a mirror, do it yourself.
Yeah, in the privacy of your own home. If you're not doing that already, then yeah, you're not a real animator in the making. Like, you have to be able to figure it out with taking your own images. Like, back in the day, you know, we didn't have 3D modeling tools and, you know, things like it. I know in Clip Studio Paint, they have 3D modeled characters that you can use as reference, and in some other programs as well. But I mean, even like a simple mannequin, but taking pictures of yourself doing these poses, you learn so much and you save so much time. So getting good references is so key. Mm-hmm. I just want to say with this character on the left, like, the best part about her is her hair.
Oh, I love the hair. No, that stylization is so fun. No, that's great.
It's so much fun.
I like that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so even though you are trying to stylize this head, I get the oval shape you are going for, you still need the shape of the head in there, right? And if you want her to be a bit more fit, you can really keep that upside down triangle look in there. But you need to know how the arm muscles work. I am a comic artist, I am not an animator, so I am a bit more complicated in my own style. But right, overall, upside down triangle. We still have that oval head shape, but we are still understanding where the brow line is, where the cheek line is, where the brows align, right? Keep that anatomy in mind and understand that sort of forms and how they work, and then that's when you can simplify. Know your basics first, then you can go back, right? Because
notice how Jessie, like Jessie's character, your character has these like these eyes that have a lot more sort of anger and rage. Channeling your feelings much, Jessie?
Yeah, probably. But
the eyes on your character look very surprised, so he doesn't actually look very aggressive. He just kind of looks confused, surprised. So, you know, even large eyes get small when in certain expressions.
If you wanted a stern but open-eyed look, right, doing the open eye and then this, not your best bet. Your best bet, half lid. And then this. You know what I'm saying? Half lids tend to be better than the full lid if you want that kind of serious sort of stern. This kind of gives off, like, I am ready to fight at any moment. This one gives like a, you know? So it depends on what you're going for. But alright. We should move on to the next one, which I picked. Thank you for submitting, by the way, Bopper.
Yeah, good luck
Thank you
with your character design and
Bopper bopping
evolution.
on IG. I mean, we got all these up here. Oh, by the way, make sure that you are thinking, especially if you're doing animation, make sure that you are thinking of proportioning as well. This head is way bigger than this one, and they're not really in proportion to each other. This character feels way bigger than this one. So, please make sure, even if the character's head shapes are different, that they should still be proportional to each other. They should fit in the same world. But alright. Thank you, Bopper. This next one, by Nez. She submitted this one. I picked this one mostly because if Iggy was here, we would have that conversation again where we would be like, yeah, I know what this painting style is. It's when you don't really know how to paint. You think you're doing great. It's like you're close, but you can't really get the feeling, right? This does feel like you had a picture and you're like, I'm gonna paint it, but you don't really know how it is. Let me do a fun, you don't really know how to paint. Let me do a fun little thing here. Let's look at how this moves. Do you see how the little circle on my color picker moves only up and down? I will say, good job on the principle. The center of your eyes should never be white. You're not going to pick that color ever. But notice how it only moves up and down. There is no additional hue in here. That's where your immediate fault is, right? When you are coloring, when you are painting, this is your base color, right? If this is the base color we are working with, the base hue. If this is our base hue, when we are picking our shadows, generally they're a little bit colder. We're going to hue shift, so we're going to move a little bit closer to red because it's a bit colder. And then we're going to go towards the right. And that gives us a much stronger, much more fulfilling shadow. Stronger in the way where it feels just a bit more full. Right? It feels a little bit more saturated, right? Already I'm bringing some life back into her skin, right? Because if you just use black, black is called the color killer. Black is not what we want to use. So make sure that we are, well, we can use it, but that's for an advanced artist. So we don't want to, I don't want to tell you to use it just yet. Right? Black is our color killer. We do not want to use that just yet. So when we are shading with anything, use color, do not use black. Because our shade of black will kill the hues that we have already predetermined on here. You're also missing your highlights. You're missing a bit of highlight here. Same thing. You can make it a bit warmer. Aim it towards yellow. That's a bit awkward. Hang on. Go up to top left a little bit. There we go. And we can really easily bump this hue up a little bit more as well. So then that way we can also show off the planes of the face a little bit more. Right? Look at the difference. You can kind of see that going off here as well. It does also kind of feel like you didn't draw the full face first. You just kind of dove in and you're like, okay. But even if parts of the face are covered, my friends, draw the entire face first so that you know the reference points between each portion. Alright. So again, congrats. Good job on not using white for the eyes, but you are still missing the general forms of the eyes overall anyway, so it doesn't really help because you're missing that a little bit. This is hard to fix. Right? Second thing, now let me move away from the face a little bit. Second thing, when you are painting, your painting is not helping the forms that are showing up here, right? Again, this is why we sketch first, and why we need to understand what it is that we are sketching. If this is the arm right here, we can think of our arm as a curved object. You have the watch curving here, right? So we can think of this entire arm as it's curving, right? And same thing up here. We can think of this part of the arm also as a curved surface almost, right? The painting that you have done here shows this off as a two-dimensional object. You're also missing a lot of the folds that would be here. Let's show this off. If we have a fold here, right? Curve around the form. Curve around the form of the arm. This edge lighting does not make sense if we are giving a bit of light to this. We got to make sure we understand where our light source is coming from, right? Again, automatically a little bit better, right? It's not great, because I don't want to spend forever on this, but it is a little bit better. We are filling this back in. We are making sure that our forms are present within whatever it is that we are painting, right? And we need to make sure that it is present throughout the entire thing that we are working on. I'm gonna fix your values here a little bit, because they are not great. Your values are too close together. You need to add more darks. You need to add more lights. Best way that you can look at that, do that. This is a universal thing across all programs. At least I hope all programs. Be a little bit upset if some programs didn't have this. Let me just darken this up a little bit for you.
Oh, Jessie's going all in with the rendering and the fabric.
This is not even that good. I'm just kind of very quickly trying to show, but right, already look at that. Values much better, rendering much better, right? Really easy way to do it. Take a layer, fill it in completely white on top of everything, change the layer style to color. All right, look at how some things disappear. Look at how some things kind of move away if I get rid of this, right? If I zoom all the way out, this entire t-shirt feels like one form. I see no form at all. Even if I zoom in a little bit more, this form, not great. Blends in with the back. The shopping cart really blends in as well, right? Because your lighting could also be a lot better. If we were in a grocery store, right? I know that there's top-down lighting, but there's also the lighting from this. So it is a bit rough to try and shade this. But overall, your shadows could be darker. Everything could be darker in here. Oh my god, stop doing that. Stop! It keeps giving me error noises. I am doing nothing wrong.
I gotta say, though, Nez, you really captured this whole pandemic vibe. Like, from like the fluorescent lighting, you know, that kind of sort of drab lighting that you have to sort of she's kind of got a weak pose, like, you know, it's not the happiest, not the most excited pose. She's kind of leaning onto her cart, you know, slouched over a little bit, so
yeah, you got a good, like, you're starting okay. Right? There's just so much more that you could do. Like you're kind of missing a few of hair highlights because there's no form to the hair as it stands, right? Give it a bit more. Here, let me help you. Another thing right? Mentioned it earlier. Too much detail means there's no detail at all, right? There's so much going on in the back here. We are digital artists. You know what we can do? We can do this fun little thing called a blur. So let me fix that for you. If I kind of took this portion, this is far in the back. Now we're gonna treat this as if it was a photo. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Right? We're gonna blur that back there.
To do that traditionally would take hours.
To do it traditionally would take hours, yeah. But we are digital artists. Who cares? We can use the tools that we have at our disposition. Disposition? I don't think that's the right word. We can use the tools that we have at our fingertips. Yes. But, right? And then we can... Oh, here's another thing as well. It would take a traditional artist hours. It is not impossible for a traditional artist to do this. Let me tell you that. Everything that you do digitally is possible traditionally. It will just take a lot longer. Digital art is just more convenient. It is not impossible for a traditional artist to do. Digital art just makes it quicker. So that's another thing. And yeah, let's take this little vending machine section here as well. This isn't going to be perfect. But let's take this again and go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Not as intensely. Maybe just a little bit, right? By comparison to the back, which is way more Gaussian blurred, right? Already gives you a bit more, a bit easier of a time looking at it. But you really got to, see, look at the difference, right? Automatically gives you a bit of a stronger silhouette within this character. But overall, you need to work on your contrast because this is just, it all blends together so much, and it's super hard to distinguish one form from each other because you also don't have a lot of values going on, because they're all very close mid-range values, not a lot of darks going on. So you've really got to bump those up. And also, when you are working on a photo from reference, you know you don't have to copy the reference exactly, right? If things in the composition are kind of messing up your composition as a whole, right? In this case, the blue from this back, like, shelf here is so intense, right? It is washing out this character. Change the blue. Make this gray. Make it white. Right? So then this character stands out in front of this background drop, right? Make it so that it is easier for the composition to be read, because right now it's not really doing great. We're kind of losing this character in this backdrop. I think you were really ambitious with this one. I think you could have gone something simpler, especially if you're not that great with painting. So what I would say is, if you are going to do a painting of some kind, do a person without a mask first. Because if I had to guess, you picked a mask, not only because maybe it was in the reference photo, but maybe because you didn't want to do the face. So if you wanted to paint something, I would say just do a person's face without any mask on, and really focus on learning the anatomy of the face first, and then we can focus on, you know, doing a more complicated scene than this, because these eyes are also way too small, right? They're way too small and they're pretty high on the head, right? Because if we've got this, they're also at the wrong angle, right? Because right now we've got both eyes staring forward. Let me just go back to the original one. Right? We've got both of our eyes staring forward, right? And there's nothing really, like, oh, sorry, not the face is pointing at a 3/4 angle by comparison, right? So we've got a bit of a 3/4 going on here with the nose, right? If this is where the nose is, the eyes are both facing completely forward, so we'll probably want this eye at a different angle by comparison to this one, and the mouth is down here, right? So draw that full face in first before you cover it up. Right? Very important.
Nice.
I've kind of used up all the time for this one. If you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, I had a couple of things that I think would make this composition better. So first of all, like, I want to commend you on the complexity of this piece. Like, it's grocery stores and groceries is not something easy to do. So, you know, very ambitious, and you're gonna get better as you go. So don't get discouraged. First of all, I want to say that she needs a neck. Her neck is not really there. I know I've been like on talking about necks a lot. But generally, you know, like her neck should be here. Okay, like let's say she has a pretty thin neck, right? Her ear would be about there. Like it's just gone. Like I can see groceries behind her neck. That is, make sure that you get that right, or at least cover it with the hair, you know, so that the groceries don't show up. The other thing is like your shoulders, like here, these, just pointing out some really basic things, like your arms, if you think about your arms as cylinders, they should be wider at the top and smaller at the bottom. Right now they are wider at the bottom and smaller at the top, so it looks a little weird. You know, something easy you could do is just kind of bring up that armpit a little bit higher, and then, you know, this would connect to the back. She's got kind of like a sad slouch, which I think adds to the mood of the piece, which is fine. But also, like, this part of the cart is going right through her sleeve. Like, if she was actually leaning on the cart, you know, her sleeve would be hanging down here. There would be some interruption of that fabric. So those are the small details that you really want to think about, unless the cart is in front of her entirely. But it looks like she's kind of leaning onto the cart itself. I want to point out two places, like this is actually really well done. That's kind of like my favorite part of your piece. Because it's so abstract, yet I know exactly what it is, you know, and I think it looks very fun and very loose, whereas, you know, the parts that are kind of overly rendered like this is not as fun. And because this is so high contrast, right? You, like, if you wanted to give her checkered shoes, that's fine, but right now if I squint, this whole part of her feet blend into the background. So even if you made her socks and her shoes like just a different value, maybe less contrast, like you could still do checkers, but maybe it's like, you know, black and gray or something, so it's not super like it draws my attention more so than the face. Also, like these Nike swooshes, like, is Nike really relevant to your piece? Is this a Nike ad? Like, leave those things out if they don't actually add meaning to the piece. Like, if you did it just because it was in the reference, it doesn't really help your cause. The whole point of illustration is to put things there that are only there to serve your idea or the purpose of the piece. Also, I want to say I really like this. That's like my second favorite part of your piece, because again, like the way you painted these packages, it reminds me of like an Asian grocery store, and it's just, again, very loosely done, and I think you did a really good job in the background there.
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they did that, like, with no, like, just of their own accord. I feel like this was a photo and they painted directly on top of it. Like, just based on how advanced that background is. Like, I've blurred it. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to tell that from a photo. But then the skill level of the painting of the person is not there. So I think what happened is, like, the background is painted over, and then the person maybe was added in later. So maybe it was a photo bash and they painted on top of it afterwards. But the technique isn't there.
But you know what though, in defense of this person, okay, I'm gonna defend you here now, Nez. Like, I know that it's way easier to paint a bag of chips or to paint, you know, some random product at the grocery store than it is to paint a face. Mm-hmm. And we also have our brain just says a face is hard, you can't do it, but you can. If you disregard that it's a face and you think about it as shapes and forms, then and like same thing as a chip bag, right? Like a chip bag could be a pillowcase, so could a torso. Like they could both be pillowcases. But it's your mental, it's your head, your brain getting in the way and saying it's hard. So if you can paint a bag this well and like, an ad simplified in this abstract way, I do think that you have potential. So, I sound like a broken record here, but study your figure drawing. Okay.
Right.
Oh, last thing. Sorry. The shadow here is a different hue than the actual ground.
Gotta be careful.
This can be easily fixed. Like if you choose your color, right? You can just find usually shadows they tend to be a little bit bluer, so you would probably want to find
that depends. That very much depends.
It depends on the lighting.
The light
but
color,
in this case, I don't know, maybe it would be warmer because the lighting is cooler. But still, this is the wrong color. Don't paint shadows gray, guys. Shadows have colors, okay? Mm-hmm. Shadows are very rarely gray. Mm-hmm. All right, we can move on to the last piece.
Thank you, Nez. And this
thanks for submitting.
Is yours. So if you would like to
you
were excited about this one.
Yes. Okay, so this one Alexi, Dark Dragon 3 on Discord.
Dragoon 3. Dark
Dragoon, okay.
Dark Drago 0 and 3 in the Discord. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. The O in chat, real.
Okay.
I also went, oh.
So I think with your piece, first of all, let me just turn off my my elements and principles of art. I think when you submitted this piece, I just extended the canvas, but when you initially submitted this piece, it was like this. Woo! Welcome. Okay, so when you first submitted your piece, it was a vertical composition, right? I just extended it because I like to do that in case I need to do any drawovers. But first of all, presentation is everything. Like if you are presenting a character, like this looks like an afterthought, right? You've got your character here in the corner. You've got this text larger than the character. The text is not as interesting. A picture is worth 1,000 words, okay? Your picture should be dominant. This text doesn't even need to be there. They're like notes. You can make it a lot smaller. If you are going to include it, please make sure that you actually spell check and, put in some effort in making sure that other people can understand it. Or that, like these simple things, you don't want to be judged for simple things like typos. That's just, not good, especially because, you should be really showcasing your drawing and not your note taking. And then like this guy here is kind of positioned underneath. You kind of have this shape around him as an afterthought. The name of this character is kind of placed at the bottom. Cool ideas, but it needs to be organized a lot better.
Hi,
so
Kay.
if
a friend of mine's in chat. Hi, Kay.
Oh, okay. So if I was actually designing a layout for this, right, I would probably put the name of the character here. Oops, the name of the character at the top, and then I would probably put, his character here, and then maybe like 2 other poses. So like this pose can go here. You can add another pose, or maybe like a close-up of his face or something like that. This character would go here. Because it's not a character lineup or a character rotation, I think first of all you need to think about hierarchy. So there's no hierarchy here. Like these are all sort of equal in space, right? Whereas the hierarchy here, the name has hierarchy because it's the first thing you see. This image presented nice and big is the second thing, or arguably the first thing you see because it's an image, right? So think about that, and how you organize your space and your presentation says a lot about you. So make sure that you don't create really, really nice work and then present it kind of poorly, because you will be judged for that. The notes, I would kind of keep nice and organized at the bottom here, so it's kind of like an afterthought. You want somebody to appreciate your character and then look at the notes to see, to help them understand what you're going for, and to sort of, add value to your character. Okay, so aside from your layout, which
it's a lot.
I'm
gonna add on to it afterwards. But you just keep going. I've got about 10 minutes left.
Again, I think again you are a middle school student, so I think good for you for starting so early on your portfolio. Most people rush the very last minute. They're like, "Hey, I really need your help. I'm applying to this school in like 2 weeks or 2 months." And then the hair on the back of my neck stands up and I'm like, oh my gosh, doesn't matter if you practice every day, you need to start early. Like, you can't rush this. And so the fact that you're starting early is a really, really good thing. I like the sort of opposite thing that you've got going on in the wings, the gradient and like the contrast, and that's actually really fun. I've never seen that done like that. So I really, really like the wings. The ear placement is really bad. Yeah.
It's so flat out.
It's
bad.
It's bad. Jessie has a video where she actually talks about how to place non-human ears on human on humans. So watch that video. But generally speaking, your ears should align with your eyes and the bottom of your nose. Again, this character has like a huge space here, like really, really big. Why is my brush so small? Really, really big space here, and the nose is super, super short, which looks a little weird in my opinion, because the style is not really obvious. And also you got your hands behind your back, which is a classic I don't know how to draw hands cue.
Yeah.
So if I see a portfolio and I don't see hands in it, or all the hands are behind the back, or the heads are wearing masks, I'm just like, okay, this person doesn't know how to draw hands, and they need figure drawing practice. So yeah, I think that's something that you could really work on. This one, like, so if you look at these characters side by side or together, they don't look like the same person. Like, their proportions are not the same. Look at the chest in the guy on the bottom, right? Like this guy. Oh my gosh, where's my brush? Okay, so this guy, his head is like super small, and his torso is, let me get a fresh layer here. So his head is like this big, and then his torso is like this big, right? And this character here, it's like his head is like this big and his torso is like this big. So it looks like a younger version of the same character. So make sure that your body proportions are at least the same in the same character sheet. Otherwise, it's a dead giveaway that you do not know your proportions. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing, like this, like why you don't need that, like yeah, you don't need that. That actually makes your piece worse. The chicken scratch speech text here, that's not adding any value to your piece. Yeah, and this hand is a little funky looking. Again, try to do this with your own hand, and if you can't do it in real life, don't do it in a drawing, because it looks like he's in pain.
That wrist. Bro got wrist.
All right, Jessie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, fantastic, brilliant, wonderful. So, I love doing character sheets. let me tell you. Fun little thing. I saw you say in chat, it's like, I wasn't going anywhere near of, like, I got lazy and, like, I didn't really, it's like, clean is nowhere near what I was thinking of here. That's awesome. That doesn't matter. So, everything that's here, right? Ability, highest tails, right? When we are organizing a character sheet, this does not need to be here. None of this matters. Nobody cares. This is what we are thinking of, right? The hide, tails, and wings switches between two forms. Can change anything. This is not needed. Can change anything. Those don't need this. You don't need this either. Okay, because you switch between two forms, or you can modify your body however he wants. These two, they clash. Doesn't mean anything. Don't need this. Speak every language possible. You don't need this. You don't need this either, right? When we are doing some kind of character sheet, less is more. Don't tell me, show me, right? I'm not really gonna... Fei said a lot about anatomy. We don't have that much time left. I'm not gonna talk about that at all. I'm gonna show you some of my character sheets, right? We're not gonna... Because all of these notes, of course you can have notes on your character sheets. You should. But you don't need this many. There's so many. And they're all in just one big block. This is not a Google Doc. This is a character sheet. We want to look. We don't want to read, right? Let me go with one of my cleaner ones. This one doesn't have a lot of text on it, but right? One big kind of character pose up here, and then we've got a bunch of messy sketches up in the top left to give you an idea of this character. This gives you an idea of the emotions. I'm not telling you, oh, Strider is peppy. They love... they're very happy, they're very bouncy, right? They're a bit, like, childish, and they're a little bit, like, I'm not writing that, I'm showing you. He's a little bit bouncy, they're a little bit fun, they're a little bit cute, right? They're not that, and then also, this gives you a nice little sketch here. Again, proportions, making sure that this head is proportional in all angles, the antler in proportional in all angles, right? And then a little section down here just for height, because they have two different height sections that they would have, depending on how they're standing. But I'm showing you that they are peppy, and that they are fun, and that they're kind of up there and out there, right? I'm not telling you. You're looking at it, and you can tell, right? Because this gives you, this is what we call just a little emotion test. When you're illustrating, emotion test when you're animating, bit different, but you can also do this illustrating as well. Notice where the name is. Top right, top left. I always put it top left. This is, oh god, what's the font name? It's called Brandon Grotesque. This is bold, all caps. I like Brandon Grotesque. It's really nice. It's very clean. And it's just nice, out of the way, no other information. You're good. I know the name of the character now. Fantastic. We're good to go. Show me. Don't tell me. If I go a little bit messier, let's go to Neptune. Neptune is another character of mine, right? We have the full body version of her, right, off to the side. And then we have what her hair looks like from the front and the back, without her jacket, what the hood looks like when it's up and from the back, and then when the jacket is zipped up, and what the jacket looks like on the back. Simple, easy. And I'm not telling you that there's a pocket on the back of her hood. I'm not telling you that she has different things on here. I'm not telling you all the different things that you can show, right? There's just this nice little tiny note. Without jacket. Hood up. Back. Zipped. Back. Right? Simple. Easy. No need for anything else, right? No gradient in the background, but it's still gray. It's nice that you use white. I'm not saying, like, white. White isn't the worst choice, but white is honestly not the greatest because you can't see your values that well. You'd think to yourself, like, it's like you'd see white and you're like, oh, white is the base for everything. It must be so easy, right? To, like, draw anything on there. But, however, white, if we think of our value scales, right? If we think of, like, 10 as, like, black and white as, like, 0, right? White is all the way at one end of the value scale, so everything is going to look darker. If we have a gray background, then we have room to show these lighter values and these darker values in their proper, like, in their proper range, right? This is why we use gray. Whether it's a gray gradient like this is probably more along the lines of what you want, something a bit darker. This is just kind of like what I keep my sheet, like my sheets at, no matter what, just this kind of like off gray. But this should be a gray with no hue. I think that this is a cold gray. Yeah, this is a cold gray, but this is just no hue gray at all. which will really help bump up your hues and make everything brighter. But yes, let's go even messier. So these are a lot of different character sheets. They were concepts that I gave to a friend of mine while I was designing a creature for them. More notes on this one, but notice how they're scattered, right? It's just a little bit of explanation when it's needed. You don't need to, I'm not telling you how this I'm not telling you how this creature acts. I'm not telling you, oh, this is how many languages they speak. This is where they came from. This is where they grew up. That's not meant for the character sheet. That is meant for the doc that you do off to the side. This is not for writing. This is for your physical design and your physical description. If we go in this first pass, there's a different version of the last pass, right? So this is the mouth open without wings, so you can see inside of it. This is closed without wings, so you can see these, because it has a wing over on the side of his face right here, right? And then this is the closed version with wings, because the antler pokes through the feather here, right? The beak doesn't close all the way, and it's the wing to kind of cover up the heads, right? I included the number 1 here and then half here. This kind of just tells you which angle the head is at. So this is full frontal, 1, half profile view, 1 half. Right? Makes it easy. Cool dog, thank you. And then this is another angle of the entire body to show you, again, I didn't write, oh, this character has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 wings. I didn't write on the side, has 10 wings, 2 along the neck, 2 sets of wings along the neck, 1 along the body, 1 along the hips, 2 for the tail, right? I drew it for you. It's there. You can see it. The neck wings are fully functional. Sure, you can explain that. These ones don't open often. These ones are for protection. These ones are closed. And these tail wings are also fully functional, right? Another just note that gives you a little bit of, like, access to that. And even more so with this, right? This kind of mech dragon sort of looking thing, right? Where the nebula will come out of here and will create the wing attached to the arm right here. I'm showing you. I'm not telling you. All that text, unnecessary. All of this text here, you need none of it, right? You should show me this. You are an artist. You can draw. What is the point of drawing out a character sheet if you're just gonna write to me anyway, right? So the biggest thing with a character sheet is show, do not tell. This one is writing. If you want to write, get a Google Doc out, write for me. If you want to draw and create a character sheet, draw it for me. I don't want to read it, right? And the fact that this is so huge is telling me that this is taking precedence over the actual illustrations of the character. Look how absolutely tiny I have put all this text down, right? Same thing with, like, Neptune's design, right? All of these tiny, tiny text. There is no text on Strider other than, like, the heights, how actually tall they are, right? In comparison to a different character that I played with in this campaign, right? Write me less, draw me more, right? Big thing to keep in mind. I'm done. We are good. We're good here. I'm trying to drill it into your brain a little bit.
Well, thank you to everybody who submitted, and you guys are all brave and on the right track for, you know, allowing us to, like, putting yourself out there. And because roasting is, you know, sometimes it can hurt a little, it can sting a little bit, can make you cry. I've been there. But it's the first step to actually, you know, improving your artwork, because don't take it personally. You are not your artwork. You know, your artwork is a progression of who you are as a creative person, and it's going to change and it's going to get better. And sometimes you just need to open up an old piece and remind yourself how ugly it was and how far you've come along. You know, so we've all been here and we have all grown so much because we allowed ourselves to be roasted. So good luck on your portfolio. And if you guys want personal support and help with your work, you can take a mentorship class with us or book a private lesson, because it is portfolio season, so we are doing one-on-one reviews. And we have a winter camp coming up. But I'll let Jessie do her do her thing, and then if you have any questions, let us know in the chat.
yeah, I mean, Fei said it. Got classes that we've offered, wingcanvas.com, if you'd like to check them out. Different winter portfolio classes are going to be up as well. And then we have current classes that are going on if you would like to check those out too. It's not super applicable today, but if you'd like to join the Discord for future roasts, to be notified for those, because we do pick them preemptively, we don't pick them the day of. If you'd like to submit for future roasts, be sure to check out the Wing Canvas Discord. Again, not super applicable today, but working files are usually up on Patreon, and if you are a YouTube member, you can also check those out there. Also, exclusive class footage and early access videos are available over there. To those of you who submitted today, all of the artists who are lovely and brave to submit your work today, if you would like any of the working files, I will feel free to contact myself. I assume, Fei, you are also able to. If you didn't delete them, you're able to submit or give them the working files for the crits that you did as well. So if you would like the working files, unfortunately, I mean, Alexi, I didn't really write anything, I kind of just spoke. But for the rest of you, if you would like your working files that include all of my crits, feel free to message me or ping me on the Discord or DM me, whatever. Feel free to do so, and I will provide that for you so that you can refer to them later. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining today. Next week, what is going on? Oof, why is that not?
Oh, we've got a stream tomorrow too.
Oh, that's right. We've got a stream tomorrow.
How to draw aircrafts,
Fantastic.
airplanes. Whoa. Yes.
Good luck to him.
Next week we have fixing your animations and rendering old streams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, then that's what you can look forward to. All right. Thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see y'all next week, or I'll see y'all in a couple weeks, I suppose. Au revoir. Bye-bye.
Bye.